For many, one of the biggest fears we face as parents leaving the LDS church is, how will this decision affect my children? After all, we raised our kids to believe in Joseph Smith, to sing Book of Mormon stories, and then by the time we as adults are willing to open our eyes and look at the facts, our children have made great friends in the Warden stake. They've borne testimony that they know the church is true, and they might have even served on a Mormon mission or been married in the temple. I want you to know that as frightening as it is, we can never, ever go wrong in exposing our children to the truth and in trusting in God completely and in loving them too much. Some of you know that I've been blessed with three what I believe are tremendous daughters, Mallerie, Cassidy, and Delaney. And they are strangely unique, but at the same time very much alike. Of the three, Mallerie, our oldest, was quickest to reject all faith and basically turn to the world when I abandoned the LDS ship. 3 years ago, I invited Mallerie to come on the program and share her thoughts about God, which I knew were going to be highly controversial. We received a great deal of heat for what she said from the more tightly wound Christian community. Let's just go back and take a look at what she said. The audio is a little rough at the beginning, but let's just take a look. I would like to introduce you to my oldest daughter, who has some thoughts to share. Now, understand this. I believe that everybody has to speak honestly and from their heart. And I think it's important that honest expression is shared. That way, you can come to truth when you're being honest. And Mallerie is an honest girl, and she's going to honestly share her thoughts. She's a songwriter. She played at Heart in the Park from New York City, and coming back to spend some time with us this summer. So Mallerie, please share your thoughts with us.
I assure you I'm not as entertaining as my sister, but I'll do my best. I had some mixed emotions about coming here tonight, as I told my dad when he first asked me if I'd like to come. As some might know, I'm on the proverbial fence when it comes to believing in God or a God. And for that reason, I feared I might make my pops look bad, being somewhat of the lost sheep in my family. He was quick to ease my worried mind, though, being the compassionate, accepting man and father that he is, and told me this is what his show was about, loving and listening to everybody. Well, I'm starting to rethink my decision, Dad. Just kidding. The idea of God was planted in my brain from the day I was born, really. And up until I was about 14, I went along in the Mormon church, obeying commandments and doing what I thought was right, when in reality, I had no testimony of Jesus or knew who he was, really. And as I've grown older and wiser, of course, I'm not sure exactly how or why, but I've lost touch with God, and moreover, I find myself unsure if he even exists. As my dad likes to tell people, I suppose I'm now considered of the world. I don't go to church, I don't pray to anyone, and as of yet, I don't see any reason to change this lifestyle I've established, besides the fact that I know it saddens my family. And though I have chosen to, I guess, live by my own standards, based on what gives me pleasure, I still think about God and why there are so many who live by him and his word. Everyone has their own demons to battle, and I believe we all fight or put off fighting them in whatever way we choose in order to feel better. We fight until we find nothing is working and we finally give up. And when you've reached that point where it seems like you just want to die, you're so helpless. I believe this is a very likely time for a person to turn their life over to Jesus. Because what else is there to do? What else can make me feel better and that this life is worth living? When I look at it this way, it appears to me that God is the weak man's answer. You're so sad and disillusioned that you convince yourself that God must be the answer. You force yourself to be optimistic about this heart-wrenching existence, because if you don't, you won't make it. In that sense, maybe God isn't a bad thing. Some people in their utter disparity may need such a concept to survive. But I don't know if I believe he's real, or the answer to everyone's struggle. In fact, maybe he's just a nice idea that eases the pain in everyone's heart while we live day to day. And in that, suddenly everything in life, good or bad, is what is supposed to happen because God is in charge. I it seems to me that a lot of what I attribute to fate and coincidence is attributed to God by others. The other day, because of a few key decisions I made, I ended up having a really great experience. And as I was telling my mom about this, she asked me why I thought all these coincidences were happening, clearly hinting to me that God was behind them. And I knew I would get this. I suppose that could be true. But by the same token, why would a God just decide to make things rad for one day? I know I'm a rather arrogant youth that is rebellious at heart and definitely likes to pout amidst my sorrows in life. And perhaps it will take me one day to truly hit rock bottom before I can put my faith into Christ. But for now, I'm just not sure about any of it. There are so many people who preach their love and faith in God, who in fact have very mean-spirited, holier-than-thou attitudes, and this just disgusts me. And at the risk of sounding trite, I try very hard to be a loving and compassionate person to everyone. And though I definitely am not perfect, I am trying, and I'm trying without basing my life around God. And is this wrong? People are constantly trying to tell me that they know God is truth in life. And how do they know? I mean, we really know nothing. And that attitude that people know only frustrates me further.
On Saturday of last week, while I was sitting in a health club trying to burn off fat somehow, I got a call from Mallerie. She's now married, living in Sweden with her husband, and the proud mother of our first grandchild. And over the past year, she has decided on her own to open up the Bible while living in Sweden and read it. And during the course of our phone conversation, she conveyed to me that she was, for a number of personal reasons, ready to surrender her life over to God. We talked about the sinner's prayer, and I offered to lead her in it, not knowing if she knew what to say or do, but she declined, saying she would rather offer the prayer herself. So I sat there listening as years of fear and dread and at times faithlessness melted away as this child confessed her sinful life and her need for forgiveness, and in need of a redeemer to do what she could not do for herself. Mallerie asked Jesus to give her new life and for him to be the Lord and King of her entire everything. I don't think Malgal could detect the torrent of tears that were running down my face as evidence of the years of worry and concern that I had for her spiritual welfare. Tears over having done something wrong maybe and standing up for Jesus as a man instead of the religion that she knew as a child. Even wondering if at times if I did the right thing by uprooting her from the religion of her youth. It's possible that some people who have never been LDS are not going to understand what I'm saying here, but anyone who has been LDS and walked away from it knows exactly what I mean. My friends, you cannot go wrong, ever, in placing all of your faith and trust in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the shed blood of his son. I am so proud of Mallerie and of Cassidy and Delaney, all who on their own accord, in spite of having a donkey for a father, have received him as the Lord. And Mary and I want to thank each and every one of you who have been praying for our family and for this ministry throughout the years. I'm sure I can speak for Mary and for every parent out there who loves God when I say that as parents, there is nothing more on this earth more important to us than knowing that our children know and love the Lord. And with that, let's have a prayer.